Hello and welcome to this demo video for the staff succession database. Now, I've got one or two similar products, or I might have, depending on what products are up when you're watching this video, but we did have a staff succession planner where it actually laid out the staff in the right order and hierarchy and all that kind of thing. This isn't like that. What this one is actually a database of your current staff and potential staff to see if you've got enough staff, or should we say, personnel waiting in the wings, i.e., people that you may have their CV, or you've met them once for something else and you just want to keep them on your database as potential people to fulfill other roles should those roles become available. All the spreadsheet does is really just take two databases, what you need and who you have available, and put them together to show you where your weak points are and where which positions potentially need more personnel to fill and that kind of thing. Let me show you how it works. It is fairly straightforward. It's actually one of the most, dare I say, boring spreadsheets I've done. Not because it doesn't work, but just because it doesn't have any graphs and reports and things like that. It's purely just databases. But the way they interact together really gives you a good idea of what's going on. So let me show you how this works. This is the first page, intro and setup. You don't have to worry too much about this. You can click here to go to a video on the website, or down here to watch the video on YouTube. That's the demo video for this product, which is what you're watching now. Let's first start at the positions. So these are all the positions that you've got available at your in your company, not just the ones that you need to fill, but the ones that are already filled. So if you list them now, forget about all the green. The green automatically calculates. All you have to do is fill in the red. So what you have to do is go to the position, put in the position of the person. So whatever the title of that role would be. If you do have departments, you can put them into departments. You may have, because you might have you might have an administrator, for example, in the sales department, and then you may have, or like here, I've got a manager in the sales department and a manager in the general department. So you might have the same title in two different departments. You can do that, and you can put the location. This is just in case you maybe have branches in London and a branch in Manchester and a branch in wherever else, and you can actually locate, put in the location as to which branch they're at, or which site they're on, that kind of thing. And then how many of that particular role you require. So that's all you fill in. And as you can see, when you fill in, for example, director in the general department in London, what happened there is it'll put the three together there, director general London, and that will be your position code. So you use that whenever you're looking for that particular position to be fulfilled. So what it'll do here is it'll add the position on here. It'll put the number of staff that you currently have. It will check the stability, i.e., what are the chances of that staff member potentially leaving. It'll check if you've got enough of those staff currently listed. These are all on the other database. We'll get to them, that in a second. Your internal as well. It'll see options. How many people internally do you have that could take the role, and how many people externally do you have who could potentially take on that role. This all comes from your personnel database, which you'll have a look at the moment. So this will all automatically update based on the personnel database. So do you have enough current staff, and do you have enough prospects to take this position? At the moment, they're both all yeses, which means you're 100%, which means you're all good to go. Now, you may have a situation where you don't have enough external or internal people to take a role, but that stability might be at 100%. Maybe you know that person's never going to leave. It's still a good idea to potentially have a backup, but you don't need to necessarily act on every single one that says no. You just need to be the judge of it. I'll show you on a future page where it ranks them in order so you can see exactly what it is that you are looking at. Shows you the number of staff that are required in total, number 7 of them. But that's really all you fill in, and you fill them in down the way. If you fill in the same way, once you've filled in your position and you go here, you'll see there's a drop-down list, and it'll have those positions available again. So you can tick them off again, just in case you might spell manager wrong once or something, and then it doesn't coincide the two. So once you add them on, it'll be on this list. If you add in a new position, like for argument's sake, accountant, then when you go here, you'll see accountant will be on the list. They're all in alphabetical order. So you can add them on. It's exactly the same with the departments, and it's exactly the same with the locations. All right, so that's really just the list for you to add all the roles, the positions that you have available at your within your company. Then you go have a look at the personnel database. This is a database of all personnel. So all people that work for you, as well as anyone that you may have met that you've got on your radar to potentially hire one day, that maybe you've interviewed for another role and they didn't pay off, and you say, well, I wouldn't mind hiring them for something else. You can add those people onto your database. So you put the people's names, email addresses, contact numbers. I've just put in person 1, person 10 and the number there. I mean, obviously you put in the correct details. CV, yes. If you don't have their CV, you can mark it as no. It turns red just to remind you maybe to get hold of their CV. If you've got their CV on record, you can say yes. Then you've got your internal and external. So are they internal, i.e. are they already staff of yours, or are they external, i.e. they work somewhere else but you could potentially get them in? All those internals, mark them with a percentage chance of staying. Now, obviously, this isn't an exact science, but you can usually get an idea if someone's going to be there for a while, or if they've got itchy feet and want to leave. And then you can assign up to 3 positions held. Now, obviously, each person should have at least one, and you should have everyone on here as one position, possibly, I would say. Maybe the external might have a few positions. So these first 3 are the positions that they actually hold. Some people might have 2 roles, and then you can select a second and potentially a third if you wanted to. And then if you scroll across, now you get the first position, possible position. These are the positions that they could fill. So your external should at least have one of these. You may have your internal may have one of these. You might have someone, for example, you may have one of these salespeople who could potentially become sales manager, and then you can come here and you can assign them to sales manager by just selecting there and going down to make sure you get the right one, the right location, that kind of thing. So once you put them down as that particular role here, the spreadsheet knows. So this is your most important page that you need to keep up to date. So keep these people up to date. Any HR department who've got this, that will be the page you want to keep up to date. This one, I would imagine, shouldn't be updated too regularly unless you're adding roles on, or if you want to add a new branch on, for example, you want all those staff again, you can just come here, right click, copy, come to the bottom here, paste values, not normal paste, paste values, and then you can just go here and change this one, say, for example, to leads, and then copy and paste value, and now you've got the exact same roles all in leads, but now you see you don't have enough people because you haven't got them on your personnel database. So that's obviously you're going to add on job positions when they become available, but your personnel database, you really want to be keeping a lookout on this because people may develop and you might be ready for another role and you want to come put them in as a possibility. Those are your 2 databases. That's all you've really got to upkeep and maintain, is specifically this personnel database. And then what will happen is it does a filtered and ranked list. So these are all the positions you've got who have staff and all the rest. They're all yeses at the moment. So everything's all happy. What you would like to have a look at, though, is, for example, if, let's just say for argument's sake, the salespeople, you actually required 3 salespeople. Now when we go to that, you see the salespeople have jumped to the top. It says not enough, and it says hire staff. So this one is automatically sorted by any staff that you need to hire will come to the top of the list, and then any people that you need to add to the database will then obviously be listed next. If you I'll show you what that means. If you now come to here and you see, okay, I've got 3 people. Oh, and actually, let me just show you properly instead of just doing it this way. If you now need to hire someone because you need 3 salespeople, if you come to the options per position, you can come here and you can select salesperson, sales in London, boom, and it'll pull up all the prospects who could be a salesperson in London. And there are 3 of them at the moment. They're all external. None of them are internal. If you go to your personnel database, you'll see the people that already have that role will be highlighted in red, and the people who could potentially do the role will be highlighted in blue. Now, if you had, for example, a receptionist here who was quite a keen salesperson and you had them down as a salesperson, they would also go blue because they could potentially fill that role. And now when you come here, it says, yes, you do have someone internally who could fill that role. So all these databases are talking to each other, and it all depends what you've got filled in. Now, if you come here and say, well, yes, this person over here is now no longer wanted to be a salesperson because they now are a salesperson, Now when you go back to your, let's just remove them from there. When you go back to your filtered and rank list, now you can see you've got enough staff, but you need to have, you don't have enough on the database. You need 3. You've only got 2 you could potentially fill. Now it's saying add someone to the database. So now if you're on top of things as an HR department, you would just go and have a look to find someone else who could potentially come on here. But as I said, if this receptionist is a budding salesperson and you go and update them, now you go back and now that's disappeared because they've got their they've got enough people to potentially take that role. Let's just put that person in at 80% so that we can go back and see everything's done now and everything's up to date. So really it's a 2 red databases. You want to update the positions and the personnel. If you keep the personnel up to date, basic details and what positions they currently hold, what positions they could hold, whether internal or external. All of these are on Dropdown. Let's just select the right one as you go along. That will be up to date. This is your list of important things to do. Obviously, if there's no actions, that's great. The actions will all come to the top. You can actually filter it. If you say, well, actually, I would just like to see the sales department, please, and you select sales, now it filters and only shows you sales department, but that obviously that goes yellow because you don't want to get that filter in there. If you just want to see London, you can see London, but that's the only one at the moment. And if you come here and you say, well, actually, I would just like to see managers, please, it filters up and just shows you the managers. So you can filter that list. It brings up the actions ones, the top, the ones that are required. And here, if you select the position you want to fulfill, it pulls up all the people that are relevant for that position. And on the personal database, it will highlight them accordingly. So that's it, really. Fairly straightforward, fairly simple. The reason why I've kept this simple is because I wanted one that everyone could use as a store product. If you look at this and you say, well, yeah, that's great, but I'd like something more bespoke for your specific business, maybe you want the layout different, or you don't have branches and you don't want to have that function in it, or something like that, and you want something different, reports of sorts, then do get in touch, because I would obviously like to use this to make bespoke versions if that's what you need. But if this one works for you and this is what you need, then yeah, do get hold of this one. And I wish you all the best with your staff succession planning. Thank you very much and goodbye.